Hi, my name is Pam Denny. I'm the designer and architect of the Maximo BI tools, or business intelligence tools. In today's demo, I want to highlight some of the new Maximo 7.6 features specifically related to Cognos reporting. Today's demo will focus on the BI packs, and I'll review the components of the BI packs, the views, the filters, the reports, and how you can interact with them to dynamically and very visually understand and analyze your Maximo data. So to do this, I'm launched over here in Cognos, and you can launch directly from Maximo, or your users can dynamically log into the Cognos portal utilizing their Maximo login. Once I'm in Cognos, I navigate to the public MX76 folder, and you can see there's 4 key areas. The 4 areas are where the Maximo workspaces are focused on: asset, asset failure, inventory, and work order. So let's take a top-level view of the BI packs by navigating down to our work order workspaces. And as you see, I can navigate down and I can see the drill down path or the cookie path as I navigate down to work orders. What immediately happens is I now see a workspace. And if we take a step back, a workspace is basically a blank sheet of paper or a blank palette that we fill with individual reports, and we enable views of those reports by looking at different parameters and also by looking at different filters. So in this case, I have my work order metrics. The particular view I'm looking at is critical assets. The different views I have available can be found by navigating on the tabs. Here's my tab for critical asset, classification, work priority, and work type. The other main component of my workspaces are my reports. Each workspace has 4 reports, which are individual metrics. In the case of work order, I'm looking at metrics like my backlog and overdue work orders, my costs, actual to estimated, and the percentage of my labor hours that are unplanned. And then our last major component is over here on the far right-hand side, and these are our filters. Our filters enable us to interact with the data so the data is refreshed automatically. So let's first take a look at the different views we have. So again, focus here on the backlog and work order and watch what happens when I click on this view of classification. I'm going to see those same exact metrics of backlog and overdue, but in this case my filter changed from my asset priority to different classifications. Again, I can change to work priority. Maybe I'm focused on getting out my high priority work first, so that's most important to me. Maybe I'm someone who's more focused on the work type, my preventative maintenance work orders, my EM work orders. Well, I can look again at those same metrics, all 4 of them, by that particular view. So very, very powerful functionality. Well, let's work with our work type metrics a little bit more. And let's expand upon one of these graphs. And I'm going to take, for example, our work order overdue. And let me just enlarge him a little bit so you can really see what I'm doing here. And my page or my particular report is going to refresh so it resizes. Now this is a really interesting graph. Some people might like it, some people don't, but it's so easy to interact with it and to come up with a graph that you might see is easier to analyze. So instead of looking, for example, let me cancel out of that and just show you one more time. So before I change the graph type, again, I can mouse over to see the value. Let me come up top here. You can see my site Texas, but again, maybe that's not very again understandable, or my mind doesn't get this graph. My mind sometimes gets stuck, right? So I need something that's maybe a little bit easier to read. I don't want to spend as much time interpreting that result. So assume I'm a traditionalist. Let me just grab a column graph, and let's watch this particular graph refresh in just, again, a matter of seconds here. And again, this might be easier for someone to read. What jumps out to me immediately is I've got some PM problems. Look at all these work orders that are overdue for Site Bedford. That immediately jumps out at me. Again, I don't have to run an Excel spreadsheet. I don't have to do that data manually. I'm letting Cognos do the work for me, and I'm letting this graph show immediately where I need to focus. This would be extremely important to me to see this backlog of PM work orders. If I'm a planner or scheduler, I want to know if those work orders are real. I want to know if I have the material in place to perform the work. I want to know if my production schedule allows that equipment to come down so I can do those types of PM work. So really, really powerful functionality. There's a lot of other, fancy things that you can do with the BI pack or the report itself. If you like one color over another, you can change that. So all those fun features are available, again, for the user to create their individual report that might make the most sense for them. Maybe they have their own corporate colors. You can definitely be able to refresh your data with that. So that's a highlight of the different interactions that we can do with the report, but let's also just do something really simple, and let's swap the rows and columns. This is kind of a fun way to look at the data. Again, now I can see, wow, what's going on in Bedford. Whew, ton of work orders overdue. Bedford, McLean, not much going on down in McLean, so I'm going to just get that out of my chart to make it a little bit easier to read. Most of the areas I seem to want to focus on are here in Bedford, Laredo, and Texas. And I don't know if I showed you or stopped quickly enough as I was doing that. I basically can, refilter my reports by selecting different filter values. And those are going to go ahead and refresh. I can see a lot of different data just by simply clicking on those, reapply the data, so I can, again, pinpoint my individual areas or focus points. Let me just navigate back over here to critical asset one more time. And again, just to highlight the major components that we have with the application workspaces. To review it again, we have our views up top, the different ways you can look at the data. In this case, for work order, we look at it by critical asset, classification, work order priority, and work type. We have our individual reports or metric reports that make up the workspaces. And then we have the filters, which enable us to dynamically refresh this data to get or to understand the information that we might need to analyze. So that's a very top-level introduction to our Maximo BI packs or application workspaces in Maximo 7.6. And in the next demos, I'll continue to review these features in more detail. Thank you very much for your time.